Start from this top. All right. Oh, hold on. It's evil and hates me. Use slideshow. There we go. Okay. I'll get started then. So, a couple quick announcements for this week. So we'll not be having a meeting next week because we'll be doing a little bit of an event with the game design program and a couple other gaming-related clubs on campus. I'll have a little more on that in the next slide. Just know, 5:30 to 7:30, College of Design 111, doing a game night. So make sure to bring stuff, games, all that stuff. Another reminder on the semester jam, deadline will be December 3rd. Theme is money, so whatever you can kind of do with that. And the game jam, the 48-hour one, will be in Ellings 308 on November 14th at 7 p.m. So make sure it's in your calendars if you haven't put it in there already. So, little just poster of the game night thing. That's gonna be hosted by the game design program. We're not having a meeting on it, or we're not having a meeting for next week, just so that we can go and also meet with other clubs, stuff like that, talk with them. It's also a good chance if you're interested in the game design program or already are in it, I guess. Just kind of meet with some of the faculty. Should be a fun time. So, but yeah, so there'll be also snacks and games. So. Additionally, if you already didn't see this in the Discord, University of Missouri, Mizzou, they reached out to us about a week ago, and we're looking to promote their game jam coming up on February 20th. So they have a educational game studio called Adroit Studios. They're kind of the main ones running it. I think it'd be a good opportunity if you guys are interested. If you have nothing going on that weekend to drive down, or you can participate virtually. The only thing they ask is that for the actual final presentation, that if you're in a team, one person has to be there, kind of similar to how we do it. So keep that in mind. But I think it'd be a good opportunity. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So apparently there's plenty of industry connections as well, is what they told me. So worthwhile look into. So additionally, I know registration's coming up this week and next week. If you're looking for a class to take, Jeff Wheatley from the Religious Studies Department and also the Game Design Department reached out to me and wanted to have a little quick blurb about his Game Design and Cultures class, where they basically just play games and kind of talk about them from a broader cultural standpoint. And their theme for this semester, or this next semester, is End Times, Cults, and Apocalyptic Worlds. So I believe they'll be playing through, for the class, basically homework to play video games. I think it's Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us Part 1, and I think Shin Megami Tensei 2. So if you really were wanting to play any of those games and want it to be your homework, sounds like a fun opportunity. I mean, I'm pretty sure you just basically have to just write some papers about it. So I don't know. I'm signed up for it, and it sounds fun. They did do that last semester, I think. I don't know if that was Game Design Cultures. I think it might have been. I'm not sure. Are you in that right now? Okay. I know, yeah, at one point they did do Cult of the Lamb and a couple other games like that. I think actually they're also talking about a little bit of board games as well. It's Cultivate and blanking on the other one, but it's not just video games as well. And those will also be provided by the university, so you don't need to buy them unless you already have them, and you can just play them. But I believe the library has some machines in there with Steam Cafe, so you can just load those up on those machines.
For now, the only game on there is 8-Minute Empire.
Noted.
They tried running Valiant Hearts with the license and let them actually access the game in the computer.
Okay. I mean, I know from what I've heard, you will not need to spend any money on any games. So it'll be a part of the tuition. So keep that in mind. But I also forgot to add this in, but it's just a quick itinerary. So Ben will be kind of talking about some general concepts with making music, navigating LMSS, just kind of how to make music a little bit, and then just kind of giving some time to kind of work, maybe make a beat or something like that. And if we have time, maybe talk about a little bit of music theory. There was one thing I want to mention, though. So obviously we're not having a meeting next week, but the week after, we were kind of brainstorming this idea for a meeting of how would you put it?
Do you mind if I come
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So 2 weeks from now, we kind of want a meeting. You know, we all love video games, and we all love talking about how we love video games, like Scott the Woz. So, if you just want to like do a little 10-minute yap sesh and like break down your favorite game and just explain to everybody what makes it your favorite game, why is it good, we'll give you a platform. We'll let you come up here. We'll let you present like whatever slideshows you want to make, and yeah, you can make your case.
Yeah, basically, if you get 5 to 10 minutes to just like explain why you really like a game, or like, I mean, try to not just be like, oh yeah, I like it because the gameplay is good. Like, try to be like a little more specific about like what you kind of like about it. Yeah, if you are interested in like doing a little slideshow, again, can have pretty much whatever you want on it. It can be on any specific thing. It's just I strongly request you don't go over 10 minutes. But like you can do literally any game. Preferably, if there's anything like gore, there's like a preface warning. Like, I think that should be kind of self-explanatory, but like, don't do anything like super out there without warning us. So, preferably, also, I'd maybe like people to just send me their slideshows so I can just look through them real quick. But yeah, if you are interested, I guess you don't have to like sign up or anything. You can just pull up. But like, yeah, 2 weeks from now we'll be doing that. So do whatever you can in that time. I will probably be yapping about a game or maybe two.
I will.
I know he will. He loves doing that. So
I love yapping.
But without further ado, I'll let Ben get started with the actual like meeting topic for today. So.
Okay, so we're going to be going over music, just go over some general concepts, and then how to navigate the LMS Digital Audio Workstation, or DAW. So, video game music, I think it's pretty safe to say it's a rather important aspect of video games. It sets the mood, the tone. It can change even how you remember the game, and so it's obviously kind of important to consider and to do well. So before you even start writing something for a song or for a game, there's a few things that you're going to want to think about, some considerations you'll want to have. So first, what is the purpose of the song? What does it like represent? What is it trying to do? What does it offer to the game, really? Is it trying to create a specific mood or feeling or express an idea, such as like create tension in a fight anthem, fight song of some kind? Or maybe you're trying to tell a story. Regardless of what it is, knowing why you're making the song is obviously kind of important first step. It's also important to consider when you want the song to play in the game. For example, if it's a theme for combat, an area theme, that's like a character theme and that you may or may not actually use in the game, but maybe just giving you some leitmotifs if you're going down that route. Maybe it's only playing in a cutscene. Obviously, this can change. If it's like a cutscene and only plays once, there might be a little more open with it than you might be in like a combat theme, for example. And speaking of how you will design the song, you'll want to know if you want the song to be linear or adaptive. So a linear song would just be you play it through like normal, or you can loop it as necessary as well. It's pretty standard. Adaptive, on the other hand, is a bit more adaptive, obviously. Some examples of adaptive music would be like in Hollow Knight, there's one of the bosses, Grim, from the DLC. When you fight him and use a specific attack, his music for his fight will change to a variant, but only while he's using that attack, for example. Another good example would be Mario. When you start to run out of time in a level, the music will speed up. That is a kind of adaptive music. So obviously, the way you want it to be adaptive, how modular you want it to be, so to speak, will change how you want to write the song, and even just in general, a linear versus adaptive song, you're going to want to approach those differently. So knowing which one you want to have ahead of time is important to know. And the final one, which is maybe not as important, especially if you're first starting out, but since music is an art form, it's important to consider any limitations you're placing on the song that you're writing. For example, maybe you're only using specific instrumentation for it. Maybe you have a specific like structure you're doing if you're going really classical with it. But and also, even if you don't have any limitations, it's important to consider that as well, because that can help you with setting up your project. And also, music, as I said, is obviously it's an art form, so it's important. Then the next big thing that's important to go over is common misconceptions that can pop up, especially when you're first starting out. So hopefully these are all fairly straightforward. Some of them might even be obvious, but I think it's important to go over them. So all of these statements that I'm about to say are either deceptive or just straight up false. But so more instruments makes a song better. All instruments must always be playing. Silence in a song is a bad thing, sort of like a corollary to that. Longer songs are better than short ones, complex ones better than simple ones. The fact that you might need to know music theory to write music, or the idea that a song needs a melody or that it has to use a leitmotif, and perhaps a bit more uh, surprising could be that your song has to sound good or it has to seamlessly loop. So again, all of these are false or deceptive in some way. Um, so more instruments. If you do it haphazardly, it can be really cluttered. Again, for instruments, always have to be playing. Contrast is a big way to create emotion in a song. And so then silence is also a contrast, which is how that would play in. For the idea of like length, really the function of the song and how well the song will function for your game is more important than its specific length. Simplicity is much easier to follow than complex. Music theory is really just a really helpful tool, but you don't need to know any of it to be a good composer. Ambience is music, so you don't need distinct melody of any kind to still have music. Leitmotifs are actually a narrative tool, not really a you say like a music thing. Obviously, you use them in music, but they're more a way to tell a story. So obviously, if you even want to use them would depend on your story, and if you aren't having a very story-focused game, they might not even be worth considering at all. The idea that a song has to sound good, no. A pretty good example of that would be Drakengard. Its soundtrack has been described as physically painful by some people, but it functions really well for the game and what it's trying to say. Similarly, for songs that have to loop, some examples would be like Minecraft. The music just kind of comes in and then fades out, doesn't really do any looping at all. It just goes straight through. Or a Library of Ruina has some songs that are written not in a loopable way, but they just force them to loop anyways. So there is kind of a pretty obvious theme there. But obviously, these games are quite successful. So basically, the point I'm trying to get at is there are no standards for writing music, especially for video games. There's only a bunch of conventions. So you should never feel like you are being forced to write anything in a specific way, unless you're like employed at an actual company writing music. But it should always be like you want to have the music in this way, or if you're working in a group, the group collectively feels like the music should be in this way. It should be like a want force instead of a need force, so to speak, motivating your decisions. And so, like for example, I know I just went over like making a longer song or a more complex song doesn't make it better, but then if that's still the way you want to go, obviously do that. And just don't feel forced to do anything. Make the music that you want to make for your game. So with this said, we're going to then move into the next section, which is going to be going over LMMS. So when you first install it, it probably won't have a shortcut on your desktop, but you can just search for it and it will pop up. And when you first launch it, it's probably going to ask you if it needs a working directory. And that's just a folder in your documents where it will store all your project files and such. You can just tell it to make it where it wants, or you can move it if you have specific. And it also should open up the settings menu when it first launches before this main editor here. But if you just click through, it's not super important for starting out at least. So then once you go through all of that preamble, so to speak, you'll end up on this main page here. This is the main interface. So there's a couple of things of note here. So obviously here we have the song editor. This is the main place where you will be sequencing your like patterns, so to speak. And we can see here on the left we have some instruments. We have the ability to mute the track or solo the track. Muting it means obviously it won't make sound. Soloing it will mean that it will mute everything that's not soloing. So if you need to hear a specific part of your thing at one time. We also have here the FX mixer. This will be go over more later, but this is where you can add like effects. Up at the top, we have this bar here. There's some buttons here like the metronome, which could be helpful, but really the main things that you want to consider are the tempo here, which is in beats per minute, and the time signature, which we'll go over later. And then this here is the master volume slider, and this is the master pitch. So if you need to change the volume of anything, or you want to offset the pitch, you can do that here with these sliders. Additionally, on the left, we have a couple of tabs here. If you click on one of these, it will open up, such as the instrument plugins, project files, sample stuff. But for now, we're just going to start here in the song editor. How do you start writing? So if you click on in the song editor here, if you click twice, double click, it'll open up the piano roll. And so this is where you'll actually be sequencing your notes. Obviously, if you have some understanding of like how the piano works or some music theory in that regard, this will be perhaps a little more intuitive. The general idea is as you go up, it gets higher in pitch, and as you go down, it goes lower. And it's set in the sequences of octaves, which are these horizontal lines you see. But when you have this pen tool equipped, the draw mode, it should show up automatically when you first start a new piano roll instance like this. If you click anywhere in here, it will put a new note. So I'm going to turn my volume, that was really loud. But now you have a note, you can place obviously multiple, one after another, or you can stack them for a chord. So you'll also notice here at the bottom we have velocity. This controls the volume of the individual notes. So if you want to have some varying in volume on a note per note basis, you can control that here with the velocity when you make it go, as you just heard, when it goes up, it'll get louder. If you go down, it'll get quieter. So there's that. You can also see it kind of visualizes the velocity there. Additionally, to play back what you have written, you can do this play button or just spacebar, and it will loop through this pattern, so to speak. Additionally, one thing you want to be able to do is obviously resize the notes, make them play for longer or shorter. If you go here to the end and you click and drag, you can make it longer or shorter. And you'll also see that we are snapping to these intervals on this faint grid here. If you want to change how that is, you can go to this option here and click and change it. When you make the number bigger, such as this, it makes a larger so you can have longer notes easier. When you make it smaller, it gives you more precision. And that's effectively all you'll need to know for this menu. You can take it and close it, and you'll see that we have put this into the main song editor. And so then you can listen to the whole thing, which, since we only have one instrument, it sounds the same. But obviously, one thing you'll want to be able to do is we just don't want it to always sound like this default sound we have here. So if you go and you click on the name here, for this case it's the triple oscillator, you click on it, it'll open the settings menu for the instrument. And you have a little piano keyboard here that you can use to test the sound. You also have something like volume and pitch, and pan is making it sound like it's coming from a left or right speaker. You also have all these options here that vary depending on which specific instrument you're using, but we can mess around with them. For example, we might change some of these waveforms, and then it will change our sound. There's not really a good way I can say how to figure out which settings you'll want to do for each, depending on the sound you're going for. The best way is really just experiment, see how something sounds, if you like it or not, mess around with all these knobs, see what they are, and keep going until it sounds how you want. And this will then, if you go and replay this thing, it will update the sound. That is really loud. So that is really loud. You see here next to the instrument, we have a volume and pan knob as well. This will affect for the whole instrument. So while velocity here is the per note basis for the whole instrument, you can just take this, drag it down to the left to make it quieter, and to the right to make it louder. The next thing that's important is probably going to be drums. You see we have this beat and bassline option here as a different instrument. If you click on it, we'll get a different editor that's not the piano roll. Each of these represents a beat in the song, and you can click here to make the pattern you want for the percussion, and you can play it back. I'm going to make it quieter ahead of time because I expect it to be loud. But you can hear how it'll go. If you want to make a longer thing, you can click this add steps, and it will add more of these measures that you can mess with to make longer patterns. However, to actually put the beat in to the song, because you'll see it's not in the song editor, you will have to click here in the song editor like you did to make for a different instrument, and then it will put a new pattern, so to speak. And then when you go and play the whole song, it will show up with the other instrument. So the next important thing to go over would be automation. So we have these knobs, the volume, pan, but what if we want it to change over time instead of being a static value? So if you right click, you can see Edit Song Global Automation. If you click that, it'll pop up this menu, and you can add a curve to it. So you can click some points to make it look how you want. And you can see here we have some different progressions. So here we have just a discrete, so it makes it a box, or we can do a linear slope, or we can do a curve, and then we can add some more points to try and change the specific slope we want. And then this will affect, in this case, the triple oscillator's volume, as you can see in the window title. And so then when we play the song, you'll be able to see the volume. You can see how it moved there. That was it going through the waveform we just described and changing it. So obviously this is great. We have some simple instruments and stuff, but how do we get more of those? So back over here to this left bar at the top, this is the instruments plugin. You can take pretty much any of these, and if you click and drag it into the song editor, it will append it at the bottom, and then you can work with this as a new instrument. It will have all of it, depending on which one you pick, it will have either similar or different effects and sounds. here, what's it? No, just mess around with stuff, and you can have more instruments. Additionally, for here in the percussion beat baseline editor, you can also drag instruments into here to add them to this sequencer as well. So that's for instruments. The next thing that would be important to consider would be tempo, BPM, and these knobs at the top. So tempo, without getting too far into music theory, it's effectively how fast the song is. When you make the number bigger, there's more beats per minute, BPM stands for, and that means that you will go through the notes faster, and if you make it smaller, it will go through them slower. Time signature, it's not really something that can explain without some music theory, but it's basically how many notes per measure. 4/4 is the common one. There's also 3/4 for like if you want a waltz feel, but there's not really a whole lot I can get to without going too far into music theory for this. So in most cases, you can just leave it as 4/4, even if it's not technically the proper one, proper time signature for the song. You can just ignore the bars and write the song however you want it to. As for the volume and pitch, you can move these like these other ones, and you can also right-click them and do the same automation as well. So if you wanted to affect all the instruments instead of just one, for example, like a cutout where you just make everything mute at once, you can do that just by setting the volume to 0 here in the automation editor. So the next thing to go over then is this effects mixer. So this mixer, this is where you can add effects. This big plus bar here will add a new channel to it. So you can see we now have the master one and this effects one. And so this, you can create as many channels as you need, but to actually add effects to them when you have one selected. So in this case, I'll put it on this new channel I made. Click this add effect button, and then there's a whole list of things to me to go through. A really simple one that is often used is just reverb. So I'll just go ahead and put that on. You'll see it will pop up for this channel, and it will have some effects we can mess with depending on which effect we do. I'll just push that up for effect, and then if you click between them, you'll see that the effect only exists on the channel you put it on intuitively. So if you want an effect on a specific instrument, you can put it on its own channel. And if you want it on everything, you can put it on master. And that will affect all of the outgoing sound. And that's great, but currently everything is set up to go to master, this master channel. So how do we make it go to this new one we made? If you go, I'll use the triple oscillator. You click on the gear, and you see where it says FX. You can either click this to just automatically have it make a new channel, or you can, since we've already made one, this FX1, you can just click that, and then it will reroute it through to this channel. And then this will then send it to the master. So then we can apply the effects only to the triple oscillator and not the rest of our tracks or instruments. So that's basically everything that you will want to know to get started making music. The last thing I'll go over then is sound fonts. So you'll see here we have a sound font player built into LMMS. You can drag in it like any other instrument. Sound fonts are quite common for video game music. You might know, for example, Undertale is a popular game well known for its use of Earthbound sound font. But so to actually use one, when you open the instrument settings, like you would anything else, you'll notice that nothing happens. It doesn't make any sound, and this intuitively makes sense because we haven't told it what sound to play yet. So you see here where I have file and patch here in the middle. This is how you're going to tell it how to interact with the sound font. So you'll have to have a sound font on your computer to use with it. There's plenty of websites you can find online where you can find sound fonts and such. I have one already here, a public domain one I found on the internet. But when you collect it and you click open, when you click this button here, it'll open up that menu, and it will then load the sound font into your sound font player. And that's great, but we still don't have any sound coming. That's because we also need to specify the patch. That's this little wrench icon. These are where you can pick which specific instrument from the sound font to use. This is just a simple orchestral one, so we have some instruments here. I'll just pick this, and now it has some sound that it will play. So then you can use this like any other instrument. Now that you have defined the sound font in the patch, you can go through all of the effects and such for making it change how it works, go through these settings, or use it like anything else. I guess it's also important, since I brought it up earlier, LMMS does have some sample sounds that it comes with. So for example, if you're trying to make a beat and you don't know how to add specifically more drums, you see we have all of these, but you're not really sure which one would be good for percussion, besides maybe this kicker that it has pre-installed and messing with that. If you want something that's a bit more realistic and less synthesized sounding, you can go through here and see, for example, in the samples we have drums. You can drag one of these. Just take this hi-hat open. You can drag it into here like a normal instrument. You can also do these if you have, I believe they have actual instruments, like cello, harpsichord. You can drag these into the main song editor and use them as instruments as well. But then this is just an audio file processor. It's pretty simplistic, but it will let you play some sound effects. So you could use this if you have your own audio files that you want to add into the song, or if you have, or you just want to use some of the ones they have built in, and you can use this like anything, any other instrument. So that's everything that you will need to get started. Yeah.